The most beautiful of them all is the Mr. Nice Guy build. And now that barbecue doesn't give points, the perks like pub have been nerfed, the perks like make your choice become less and less relevant. This build now is, and this playstyle is just less prominent than before.
To tunneling, right? Tunneling is a very intentional tunnel vision. That's why it's tunneling is tunnel vision on a single target, a single survivor, right? So I think if we're going to talk about solutions, we have to talk about why people tunnel and camp. Now, what I think happens with tunneling and with camping is that I think a lot of killer players get away with this. Their MMR raises, and then eventually I think they hit a ceiling where they can't even get it down. They overchase somebody in 3 gens pop, and they are super frustrated. So if they down that person, they face camp that person, and 3 people escape.
What's going on, gamers? Welcome in and welcome back. I hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing day. Today's going to be a little bit different of a video than I normally make. Normally, I create content around tips, tricks, and builds to help take your games from frustrating to fun in the fog. Today, I wanted to talk about the health and mentality of the game, at least from my perspective, as someone who has about 2,000 hours in the game in about a year and a half. I know that's not a crazy amount of hours, and people have been playing this game for much longer and have experienced so many different things, but I feel like I play enough of the game to have a pretty solid idea of how the game has changed over the past year and a half specifically. The 2 compilations that you watched are from 2 absolutely incredible creators, DyllonKG and OtzDarva. OtzDarva being one of the biggest content creators in the Dead by Daylight space, really focusing on information that's digestible and helpful toward the community. And DyllonKG, who is seemingly extremely wholesome and someone who really wants to enhance the experience of the player base. I mean, DyllonKG actually created boot camps with their community to help kind of guide people on how to play better and be a little bit more efficient and have a little bit more fun. Absolutely incredible. I highly recommend you check out both of their channels. I'm going to leave it down in the description below to their links to the videos that we are going to be talking about specifically today. Super quick reminder, because this is YouTube, if you guys enjoy content like this, don't forget to leave a like. It helps me out a lot. A sub would be very much appreciated. And now let's hop into the info. All right, y'all. In a previous video, I mentioned that I felt like with the changes to Merciless Killer as of the most recent update, that we are going to see an increase in tunneling and camping. And the reason this is because behavior is essentially encouraging killers to only go for kills. Now, I've had a lot of arguments with people who have said that this is only for adept, it's because it's so difficult compared to survivors. I totally understand that, but I'm not doing a comparison between how difficult adept is between killers and survivors. There's literally no change between you doing an adept for killer and playing a normal killer game. You still get rewarded the same way. I've personally noticed a massive increase in killers that tunnel at 4 to 5 gens blatantly, and I understand why killers do it. It's so much easier to go against a 3v1 than it is to go against a 4v1, but I think the mentality for a lot of killers, nowadays especially, is that if I'm going to be rewarded for kills, I'm going to get kills as easily and as quickly as possible, no matter how fun or unfun it is. Killers focusing on kills is not the way to make the game or put the game in a healthier state. When survivors give me amazing chases and I have everyone on death hook and they get a 4 out, yes, I'm frustrated because I want to get the kill. It's so satisfying to get the kill, but at the end of the day, it's a really good game because I went on some awesome chases. The survivors earned their win because everyone was on death hook. You know that they were worried and they were thinking of every which way to make it out, and it's just more of a fun game that way. And when you look at someone like DyllonKG especially, who does killer boot camps to show the difference in like how the game can be played and that you don't need these meta perks all the time, it is so refreshing to consume that kind of content rather than just seeing people who constantly want to get kills. I think the mentality of killers does need to change, and I understand why killers do this. I've played many games where I have gotten so close to getting a 3k, and the survivors have pulled 1 or 2 crazy things out that have changed the tide of the game, and although it's frustrating, it's fun because there's that back and forth pull. It's not an easy game, and it's not a completely unwinnable game, because I've had both those as well, and you always want to have a good game. And I think once killers stop focusing on just getting kills and they try to focus on learning how to shut down loops correctly or outplay survivors, I think that's when the game will change. And BHVR, if for some reason you're listening to this, I really hope that you consider rewarding hooks more than kills. I don't know how we would do that, and that's something that we need to come together as a community to really try to implement and try to understand. But once we do that, I think the health of the game is going to be so much better. Let's talk super quickly about the survivor role, because I don't think we can have a healthy conversation about how to make this game better or more fun without looking at both sides. Now, survivors aren't perfect either. The amount of survivors that are quote unquote toxic, and I use that term very lightly because, at least for me, the definition of toxicity has changed as I've put hours into the game. Things that used to frustrate me that survivors would do, like teabagging and clicking and trying to get my attention, is not as annoying to me, because my definition of toxicity now has become what someone says or does in the endgame chat. But not everyone thinks that way, and with the rise of tunneling and camping and the profiles that are dedicated to even making the next group of survivors pay for what you've done, which, you know, really might not be your problem, but it perpetuates issues for the game. All you have to do is be kinder. I understand teabagging and trying to frustrate the killer to get their attention, but at the end of the day, at the end of the game, just say GG's and move on. If the killer wants to have a legitimate conversation, entertain a legitimate conversation. Stop it with the GG easy baby killer stuff. Like, that doesn't help anyone, and it's going to perpetuate this idea that killers have to sweat in order to feel like they win. And survivors need to also realize that the way that they play influences the game. So if you can just say, you know what, that section sucked, yeah, I got tunneled out, wow, that really wasn't fun, and move on from it, that's cool. You don't need to attack someone or try to put them down for what they've done. Move on to the next game. Just as when killers get absolutely whooped, they should move on to the next game and say, you know what, that was rough, but GG's and good luck. Y'all, let me know if any of this made sense to you. Please make sure you check out OtzDarva and DyllonKG if you haven't already. Like I said, their links to their video are going to be down below. Thank you guys so much for sticking through to this point if you've made it here, and I can't wait to see you guys in the fog. Good luck out there.